Welcome to the 12th episode of the New Podcast. My name is Steven, joined as always by producer extraordinaire Kelly. Let's get to it. Lots of MMA to talk about this week. Great week of wrestling as well. Tons of MMA around the world, as it has been the last weekend. Seeing this huge ramp up of especially a lot of these Asian organizations really having these great shows. And the first one was ONE FC was really good. But I want to kind of get to some MMA news first. And I think the biggest thing this week has obviously been the spousal abuse of Rachel Ostovich suffering a broken orbital. Like, wow, that's terrible news. The worst part about it is she can't fight now. She had her biggest fight of her career up against Paige Van Zant's coming up, and it's just, super shitty news to come out of Hawaii, and I hope everything gets resolved with that and she can move on with her life. Super sad news. That's what I'm saying. It's just for her not to be able to fight against Paige Van Zant, it was a huge fight in her career. But shit's going to go down with that one, that's for damn sure. The biggest news, I think it was announced last night, was, Kelly, did you hear about this? Anderson Silva is going to be fighting Israel Adesanya. I think that's going to be a great fight. Two dudes who are great strikers, and obviously one guy's coming up and one guy's going down. What I want to see is how they size up. I want to see, how tall, because Israel's kind of a taller dude for 185. If he towers over Anderson and has the reach, I want to see what their reach is like for in between them. I think if he's got the reach, I think Anderson Silva's going to get put to sleep pretty quickly by a knockout. He's just too quick. Israel's just too quick. But does his style match up good against Israel? I think that's what's going to be the big question. Can Anderson Silva's striking and counterpunching actually be the perfect key to the Israel puzzle? Who do you think takes it, Kelly? Just off the top of your head, who do you think?
Israel takes it.
Yeah.
I just think, Anderson Silva is just a little too far out of his prime, and I think it's a great fight for Israel to make a name for himself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree with your pick too. It's just tough. It's going to be tough to see Anderson Silva obviously quite past his prime now. Who knows? But I gave him a puncher's chance, but we'll have to see which Anderson Silva shows up. It's really up to him how that fight's going to go out, and I think he can maybe stun Israel a little bit with, like with his, star appeal or whatnot. Maybe he gets into that. We've seen fighters do that in the past where they're almost too, like they're fighting their legend or they're fighting their mentor or something like that, and they get too caught up in it, and then they kind of lose sight of what they're fighting for. Other big fight news announced out of Bellator, Gegard Mousasi is going to be fighting Rafael Lovato Jr. I didn't know a whole hell of a lot of Rafael Lovato Jr. I didn't, I don't know he's won a few fights in Bellator, but he's got a tough test in front of him with, obviously with Gegard Mousasi. It's been documented on the show before how much I admire the guy. Is just one of the toughest dudes of all time at his weight class, just pound for pound, just one super tough dudes. Let's look up Rafael Lovato Jr. here. All right, so he's undefeated. That's pretty big. I didn't know that. 9-0. He choked out John Salter as his last fight and armbarred Gerald Harris. Crazy. He's fought 5 times in Bellator. I went to decision with Chris Honeycutt. Choked out Mike Rhodes. It's not a bad record. I think Gegard's going to have his hands full here. Dude's got a ton of medals in jiu-jitsu. That's crazy. He's got tons of golds in Nogi, Pan American, Nogi World Cup. He won gold in Dubai. Crazy. Brazilian national jiu-jitsu champion, gold a bunch of times too. This guy's just one hell of a grappler. Gegard Mousasi is no slouch on the ground, so I think it's going to be a good matchup for him because this guy, all his wins are by submission, and I think Gegard, probably his best skill he has is a stand-up, and I think that's what's obviously going to be the hard part for Rafael Lovato Jr. to keep up with him. At least see all these grapplers, they just depend on it too much, obviously, and who knows? I haven't seen enough of the guy. It sounds like it's going to be a good fight, though. Undefeated guy, and they give Gegard Mousasi a good test over in Bellator. Have you been hearing any of that beef, Kelly, between Askren and Colby Covington? Colby Covington kind of called him out and just said how much of a bum is. He's never beat anybody in top 50, and I thought, like, you know what? Colby Covington's telling the truth. You know what I mean? And he was upset because Askren gets given Robbie Lawler, a top 5 fighter, and Colby Covington said that was a joke, that he shouldn't get that fight. And I think it's kind of bullshit myself, too, because they give Ben Askren, who's a huge, pure wrestler, arguably the guy with the least wrestling skill at the top 5 at 170 right now with Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler's never been known for his wrestling, and he's been known to not have a very good ground game at all, period, really. And I think they give Ben Askren an easy fight, a very manageable fight to handle. I hope Robbie Lawler plays upset, though, and knocks him out. I love Robbie Lawler, awesome fighter, especially at his age, to still be kicking people's asses. Obviously, he's going to have to work on his takedown defense. That's for damn sure against Askren, man. It's going to be a long night if he can't knock him out, obviously. I thought it was a kind of a bullshit call. I think they should have given him somebody, a top 10 maybe, a 10th ranked guy, even somewhere in between for his first fight. Askren, like I said last show, Askren's super unproven to me, too. He's super unproven, and the Colby beef with him, I think, works. And it was kind of weird. He had a follow-up video where he just asked some random person, it was like, hey, he's like, Colby Covington's an asshole and shit like that. And then he's like, asked some random person on the street, he's like, hey, do you like Colby Covington? And the guy's like, no, he's a dick. I'm like, it kind of looked like it was planted, but it was a little bit, if they get beef, whatever. Colby Covington's just yelling at everybody right now. I can't wait to see him when he's 50. If he makes that long, how outrageous he's going to be, mean old man.
You know who does like Kobe? The presidents of the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, they have Instagram pictures together.
Huh. They love each other. Doesn't surprise me.
2 of the biggest trash talkers.
There really was. I forgot to touch base on it last show, but in the World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation, remember how I had said Boss Room was kind of leading up to there was some kind of sabotage taking place? I thought it was like, how the hell is this happening? I guess it was actually true. It's a super long story. Boss Room had this whole thing on his Facebook page. Obviously break it down because it's like super long. It's like a book. If you printed it out, it'd probably be like 10 pages, like on paper. It was I just skimmed through after I had been reading for a long time. But the gist of it is their main booker was in cahoots with one of the managers because the top 4 fighters, he didn't say who was getting what, but the top 2 fights, all those fighters were splitting $1.25 million. That's an outrageous amount of money for some little buttfuck organization to pay 4 fighters alone. And that's why it makes sense why Johnny Hendricks even took the fight. Because he was like, you're going to give me $500,000 to fight? Okay, that's more money I've ever made in UFC. Maybe he made that when he was fighting when he won the belt, maybe. But still, for a wrestler to come over to a bare knuckle Fighting Federation, get offered $500,000, and he lost too. That's what's even more nutty about it. But so they found out that the booker and the manager was the manager of 3 of those fighters. So that's when the boss started realizing something wasn't right. And then it turns out that the guy was actually a drug addict. The booker was a drug addict. He couldn't get a hold of him. He would lose his cell phone all the time. And he just was kind of taking advantage of the owner who had like an endless amount of money. That's the reason why he didn't know. That's what Boz is trying to explaining. The owner didn't really know how this kind of thing worked, and he got taken advantage of. So once this all happens, the owner actually gets hospitalized because the guy's so stressed out. So he's hospitalized. They can't get a hold of the booker. It's like days before the fight. Boz is like, you have to renegotiate the contracts. We're not doing this. You got to renegotiate contracts. This is a ridiculous amount of money. They have to fire the booker eventually because he's saying how he was a drug addict and this and that. He was obviously doing drugs. And then all the fighters were pissed. So the fighters were actually sabotaging the show. They were unplugging stuff. Some cameras didn't work. The mics didn't work. And there are all these reports of people seeing fighters just walk over and unplug shit. Walking over, just unplugging anything they can find. Because obviously lost a lot of money. But I thought, what kind of crazy ass fucking shit is going on here? Some shady shit. That's just very unfortunate that they have to go through this. You know what I mean? There's such a fledgling organization. It's not really my cup of tea. It's not terrible, but just the fact that they got to go through this crap is just kind of crazy if you think about it. You know, where else have you heard about something like that? Like that's like pro wrestling shit. That's like pro wrestling storyline. The only thing is missing was somebody wasn't getting hit by a chair. It was very, very odd news coming out of there. Never talk about football, but man, was that a Thursday night game? Rams and Chiefs. Fuck, that was game of the year. That was an insane game. It was Monday. It was on Monday. Super crazy. And that's what football needs. That was just back and forth touchdowns. That was crazy, man. Great game. Great game. I forgot to set up the Twitter this week. Damn it. Next time. We'll have the Twitter next time. Oh, shit.
I know everyone's in a hurry to get it.
I know. This new Twitter thing everyone's talking about.
Just have to wait.
I know, exactly.
Good things take time.
And come in small packages.
That's right.
The rumor that's really circulating, I had seen this being posted by Jorge Masvidal a lot, so I was like, clickbait. I was like, see, this is what you do, man. Before, it used to be so reliable. So it was announced that it is Martin Ford is going to take on the Iranian Hulk, who's like this massive dude. I didn't write down his actual name, but this guy is gigantic. He's like a strong man in Iran, and he's going to be fighting Martin Ford in KSW. This is the kind of shit I kind of like, actually. You know what I mean? Because they're on the same level as amateur versus amateur, basically. Huge beef of dudes. You know what I mean? They're guaranteed they're gonna gas out in a minute and a half. I'll give them that. And maybe it could be even earlier than that. But I'm actually super interested in that fight, and I think KSW pulls off a real slick move if that does go through. But then what made me believe it was actually on RT.net, the Russia website. They even announced it too. So I thought maybe this has actually got some steam behind it. But they kind of had said it wasn't 100% confirmed, but the fight had been pitched. So I'm watching that fight. I'd love to see that. Just a freak show. I'm in. You know, count me in. That's what I was talked about in shows previously. That's what kind of you need to get people to watch. Whatever. It's two amateurs. It's gonna probably could have a very good chance of being terrible. Absolutely, it does. But you can guarantee I'm watching that and enjoying it with popcorn and a drink. I can tell you that much. I'm gonna super enjoy that. Dude, he takes it, Kelly. One 6'8" British bodybuilder versus an Iranian dude.
I think that Iranian dude's gonna take it.
I
think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, let me pull it up here.
He's a huge guy.
Yeah, he's just gigantic.
Anybody can go watch two people of the same weight fight each other, but this is gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree, man. It's gonna be super crazy. It's even posts on MMA Revolution too. It's, you know, I mean, that was 9 hours ago they posted it, so it's gonna be pretty crazy. I wonder how they match up. I want to see that stare down. Dude is just gigantic. You have to reinforce the ring for that match. I'm watching, man. That's gonna be insane. Damn. KSW pulling it off, making some good moves. I like it. Making the good moves. Well, probably the biggest news this week was there is a lot of rumors swirling around Brock Lesnar pulling out of his fight with Daniel Cormier. For some weird reason, they interviewed Paul Heyman. Which, Kelly, you don't know who Paul Heyman, but he's like in wrestling, he's his manager, and he's like super. All the fans love him. He was like the president of ECW. He was kind of like the beginner, like the founder of that, but now he's just like a manager. He's been for like a long time now, and for some reason they interview him about it, and he's denied it. But still, it's Paul Heyman, Paulie Dangerously, they you know what I mean, to interview him about asking about his MMA career, I thought was an odd move. But usually, especially when it comes to MMA or pro wrestling, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. And what they're saying is that Brock Lesnar has been offered a ton of money from WWE because of all the injuries, which I'll touch base on a little bit down and later on in the show. So to avoid even more injuries, Vince has thrown tons and tons of money. Rumor is it's $10 million at Brock Lesnar to not fight in MMA and fight and wrestle more in the WWE. That's the other rumor, but who knows? We'll find out what happens. I hope he does fight, and I hope he still gets to wrestle too. I hope he fights. That would be shitty though if it was pulling him out. If I maybe fight somebody else, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that? With all the it's Black Friday in America this Friday, Kelly. And with Canada, we kind of have Black Friday too, but it's not as violent. And that's that's where the scouts, the UFC scouts, got to find these fighters. Black Friday. That's what they got to do it. They got cameras everywhere. You want to look for the dude who's like beating the crap out of like 5 people for that toaster. You want to fight like look at that Bruce Lee dude over there. He just roundhouse kicked a whole group of people, and he got a cordless phone
just for $50 off. Imagine what do you do for $1,000?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. They can find it. Even the women too. The women scrap it out like even crazier at Black Friday. I saw this one chick. She was like pulling guard on this other chick. It was a video, and she was like trying to get her in like a triangle in a fucking Walmart. What's wrong with you, America?
TV was half off.
I know. You're like fighting, scrapping each other over a TV. Like, seriously.
And why do you need a new TV? What happened to last year's TV?
Yeah, exactly. They had to sell it because of all the court cases against them for beating the crap out of some old lady for the TV. So, like, damn, I gotta do it again. America.
We love you. We just kid.
It's a love relationship.
Yeah.
I love American fast food. I love American alcohol. It's cheap beer. I love that. I love America for that. Turning into the new American love fest. You're tuned in to the right station. What else do I love about America? I like American football. I like Canadian football too, but I like American football.
Born in the USA. Born in the USA. Yeah, man, that song is awesome. Like that.
I never understood why they play that song on Canadian radios. It's a very, very weird song to play.
You never sing along?
That's what I'm saying.
I always do. I'm in my car and that's going. I just singing along, man. Just windows down, snow coming through the window.
Oh, shit. It's actually been quite warm recently. Tons of rain, but it's been quite warm. Let's talk some MMA. Did you watch Tough this week, Kelly?
I did not.
Oh, it was actually really, really good, actually. It was Maurice Green versus Juan Espacino, and it was a great fight. But what was cool about the episode, as I always love it, it's when it's the Coaches Challenge episode. It was a really cool one. They did a little something different. They did a 5-kilometer run, so I think it was like 13 laps around this track. And, right off the bat, like, who do you think, Kelly, if you had to, like, Kevin Gastelum or Robert Whittaker, who would you think was going to, like, win the race?
Robert Whittaker.
Yeah. And you would be 100% right. That was my pick, too. It was kind of Robert Whittaker right off the bat, too, and eventually he started pulling away farther and farther. He did push the pace, and I think he came up with a good goal to really push the pace. And Gastelum, though, it was like, I think it was the 9th or the 8th lap. And he just starts puking. Like super, like projectile puke, man. like super puking.
That's
it was
not a good sign of things to come.
No. I was watching it with my kids. I just burst out laughing. I thought it was the funniest fucking thing I had ever seen. It was so comical just to see him just really start rough. But I'll give it to Gasly. He didn't give up. His team had his back too, and because it was really, really hot too, right? It was, it's Nevada. It was super hot. They said it was like 100 degrees. So, to do 5Ks in that heat, but Whittaker didn't have a problem at all. Whittaker just plowed through it super easily. But the teams, they were spraying them down with water guns and giving them water and that type of thing. So it was a cool thing. So it was cool to see Whittaker's team all get $1,500 and he wins the $10,000. And it was cool to see Gastelum actually finish the race and puke his guts out. He was very humble and funny about it though too.
That's good. I like the guy.
Yeah. What else are you gonna say, right? You puked. Yeah. But obviously it doesn't look good for your fight coming up here, where the guy like ran circles around you. But man, the fight did not disappoint. Two dudes, for some reason, Maurice had created this beef with Juan, and I think Juan is one of the nicest guys in the house, and I think we have another heavyweight contender coming out here, man. What a fight. Juan comes out and just throws this huge looping overhand right and just clobbers him, catches Maurice totally off guard, and really wobbled him. It really wobbled. You could see his eyes wobble, and he stumbled. It was a huge overhand right, and then you can't let Maurice get you on the ground. I think that's why this guy is so deadly. Is he's big, but I think he's deceivingly fast. I think is Juan's claim to fame with his skill set that he has. This guy is going to be a nasty killer when he comes into the UFC. I thought he had a great skill set coming into this fight, but I actually gave it to Maurice. I thought Maurice was actually going to win just because he beat the crap out of the other dudes with his striking. But for him to get dummied like that, and then Juan just take it down, almost gets the ground and pound. But, Maurice tries to get up, and he kind of does, but Juan's grappling was just far too good, and just how he took him down for the second time, too. The first takedown was a cool little back takedown. I like that move. It's almost like a trip. Kind of when you're behind the guy and you want to just take him down without taking his back, you kind of just straight up pull him backwards and down. And it worked great against Maurice's height. Such a slick grappler is Juan Espacino, man. Super, super slick. And then, he just almost gets the key lock, which I thought was going to go. He had his arm trap. It just was submission after submission with this guy. And then eventually sinks in the rear naked choke for the win. And he was fucking elated, just like screaming, we talk in the ring, that's where you talk. I thought, like, man, what a statement by Juan. Because he was upset too that Maurice was talking all that shit about him, and Maurice's mouth did not back up that check that he tried to cash, man, and he made it his own problem because he fired up Juan. Maybe Juan would have taken it more lightly if he thought they were still friends, but watch out for Juan. And now he moves on to the show to fight Justin Frazier, who's obviously surprised me, but he's not going to get Juan, I can tell you that. Juan is way better grappler, way better striker, much bigger. But, I've counted Frazier out every single fight. He's got a puncher's chance, I'll give him that, and I think he'll get some fights in the UFC. Bring him on in, He's got the heart, and whatever. UFC needs life, they need blood. When it comes to heavyweights, all the heavyweights should be on the show. Why the hell not? They need heavyweights, so... But I don't see Justin Frazier having a chance in hell with beating Juan at any faster in that fight. There was actually one FC was this weekend too. It was a good fight. Brandon Vera retains his title, but one FC just doesn't have the heavyweights at all. Just the fact that Brandon Vera is their champion. He beats Mauro Sorelli. Let's take a look at Mauro Sorelli. Let's break down 6 degrees of separation. Mauro Sorelli. He's Italian. He was actually on a pretty decent run up until that point. Kind of looks like I don't know where the heck he's been fighting recently. He's got a lot of knockouts, though. Fought that Venator card, obviously, a few times. That's what's crazy, is that's the Italian promotion, and he actually lost both of his fights in his hometown, and then kind of went on a tear on other organizations. No really names that stand out that he's beaten. Here he, gets made quick work of by Brandon Vera. He looks like he's a small heavyweight as well. No other fighters on the card, but One FC, they got to keep cranking them out. And I think they're doing the right thing here. Yeah, no one really else on the card that stands out. It was good. It was in the Philippines too. Oh, that's cool. And Brandon Vera being half Filipino or Filipino. One FC getting it done. Let's talk some UFC. Did you watch it, Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. A lot. It was actually really good card. Didn't disappoint. I thought all the fighters on the main card came to bang. I recorded the undercard, but I didn't watch it. It was cool that it was at least it was on at 2 a.m. our time, so I recorded it and then watched it in the morning. That was kind of a nice touch.
Yeah, I just watched it on Fight Pass.
Ah, nice. It was a great card. They didn't disappoint. They did what they needed to do, bringing in a lot of local talent, all the Chinese fighters. Really good main card. The undercard is obviously really no one to name on the undercard, but the first fight out of the gates was Jialing Li versus David Zawada, and it was a really good fight. I think they actually won the bonus as well for fight of the performance of the night, and it was a good fight. I didn't think it was super great, but it was a good fight. It was a That was a big sidekick to the body by Jinglang Li, and man, it just took the dude's wind out and just collapsed him. It was a really nice sidekick. And when the other guys were going at it, I thought he had the gas tank. Lee just had the gas tank and then some, whereas Wada was really fading in the third. And to eat a nasty sidekick like that when you're already gasping for air, there's no doubt he would collapse. That looked like a nasty one. The next one was at 135, Yadong Sung versus Vince Morales. I guess Vince Morales trains with Kevin Ferguson, but he was not a very good fighter. It doesn't mean that it's going to translate over to him being good. Where he just looked terrible. It looked like an amateur fighting a professional. The only thing he had going for him was his gas tank, where Yangdong Song, where he had really started gassing near the end of the third, but they had a high output, but I couldn't see him losing. But he did eat a few unnecessary shots just because he was so tired in the end there. Kind of a boring fight, but a good decision for an upcoming prospect in Song, and we'll see where this takes him, because he just looked like the faster, much quicker striking, where Vince didn't really have any ground game either. So it's just like you're in a bad spot, man, where you're not that good of a punch striker, and you don't have a ground game, and then like, what kind of fighter are you? What's your main strategy here to win this fight? That brings us to the co-main event of the evening. Alistair Overeem versus Sergey Pavlovich. Did not disappoint. Great fight. I'm a huge Overeem fan, always have been. He's been douchey throughout the years, but man, just, I love those dudes, for a guy to win the K1 Grand Prix when it was the K1 Grand Prix, man, that was the shit. And that's what, Mark Hunt did, how he made his name. It was a huge thing to have on your resume. Was his tournament win a little lucky? It definitely was, because he had to fight Gohan Saki, who was already injured, and he just straight up kicked him. His first fight was Peter Aerts, Gohan Saki, and then his revenge fight against Badahari. And it was an amazing tournament. That's all one night. They had to fight. And it's heavyweights. This is the best. So nothing will ever replace K1. And he beats Peter Aerts to decision. And then Gohan Saki was injured from his fight, so he just kicked him in the stomach, and I think his elbow was busted up, so Overeem just kicked him in the arm right away, and he had to quit. And then his third fight was against Badahari, who Badahari was kind of tired because he'd made it to the final, and he just clobbered him to win the K1. He got a little lucky, and that's what the tournaments are all about. He was at the right place at the right time. We see a very different Overeem come in here to this fight, and I thought it was a very smart, whatever training camp he's with, those guys deserve a raise, because they came up with a great strategy for him, and he followed it to a T. Just because Pavlovich was so much taller, than Overeem, that's a tough thing to do. So I think he had to kind of utilize the clinch, and that's exactly what he did. Great use of the clinch, so he's not going to get powered up on. He can cover up, use the tie plum a little bit, and cover up from taking the big shots, as obviously Overeem's jaw kind of hasn't been that good, never really was that great, but he's just managed to be able to defend it well enough and put it on other people's jaws. And he gets that real nice little trip takedown on Pavlovich, and follows up with that nasty ground and pound. Oof, that they replayed that one. The camera was right there when he slammed that punch into him. Man, that was loud. It was huge, nasty punch that he smashed him with, and then followed up with some ground and pound. That's not a dude you want on top of you pounding your head in. Like, that was crazy style. Good win for Overeem. Back in the win column. Going to be a gatekeeper, I think, here on out, and I'm happy with that. He'll still get paid. I bet you he probably got like a ton of money for this fight. I bet you probably got 500 grand for this fight. I can almost guarantee it. Dude gets paid, heavyweights get paid, and Overeem will get paid for a long time, as long as he keeps winning. Let's see how his recent career has been going down. I see, coming off 2 losses, Curtis Blades and Ngannou. That's crazy. I didn't realize I totally forgot he fought Curtis Blades. Yeah, beat Verdum. Beat Mark Hunt, lost to Stipe. That was for the belt. And he kind of went on a tear before that. Beat Stefan Struve, Roy Nelson, Junior Dos Santos, Andrei Arlovsky. He lost to Ben Rothwell. Beat Frank Mir. He's got some really good wins. He basically had retired Brock Lesnar the first time, too. You know what I mean? Just destroyed Brock Lesnar. Overeem, man, still getting it done. What a dude. That brings us to the main event of the evening. Francis Ngannou versus Curtis Razor Blades. I think Ngannou's his nickname is the Predator. I don't know if you're not that to be your nickname. I don't know if the PR department passed that one yet, but I guess they did. The Predator. So it's kind of, you know what I mean? When you think of Predator, you think of like child predator. Something like that. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking like a puma or some shit.
Why don't you have a seat over there?
Fight was super quick. Great knockout. I think it was maybe a bit early. That's only my take. Maybe just a hair early. Curtis Blades was on ice skates. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right? Because his name is Blades. Ice skates. Anyhow. Oh no, but seriously, he really, you know, he was stumbling around like crazy. That punch clipped him right behind the ear. He had no way to. He was on Queer Street. He was on wobbly legs. He was all over the place. I just think it was maybe a bit too early. I don't like it when the guy. It almost seemed like he was about to stand up. You know what I mean? And I don't like it when the guy's about to stand up or like in the position to stand up, and they stop the fight. I think it's tough. Such a tough call, and I commend the referees. But you know what I mean? I almost is like the guy should be a slump. You know what I mean? He should be slumping and not defending himself. I don't think he was at that state yet, but like, does he want to be in that position too? Does he want to get knocked out, or would he rather just being, you know, in this situation where he is now? You know, it's tough to say. I'm not in that position, you know what I mean. But Curtis Blades did protest a little bit. I'm not disappointed in the stoppage. I just think maybe they should have just gave him another, 3-4 seconds to see where it was gonna go. But he didn't get that. He didn't get that. Mark Goddard. Had to make a split decision. It was almost like he was going to stop it right away, too. As soon as he knocked him down the first time, it was almost like he was going to stop it right away because he kind of bumped into Ngannou and then kind of went to the side. So it was a bit weird, but nevertheless, Ngannou won. There's no doubt about that. And he was probably going to win even if he got an extra 10 seconds. You know what I mean? But still, I would have liked to have seen him get that opportunity. Where does that bring Francis Ngannou now? You know, Curtis Blades' stock plummets hard. You know what I mean? Losing a rematch like that when he was really kind of, everyone was saying he was going to win, and he was quite certain he was going to win. But where do you think this brings Ngannou? Who does he fight next? He's had a career of just kind of beating up old dudes. He had a few he beat Curtis Blades. I think it was his first. No, Curtis Blades was his second fight. And then Mahovovich, Anthony Hamilton, Andrei Arlovsky, Alistair Overeem, loses to Stipe. Loses to Derek Lewis and beats Curtis Blades. I don't know. I think maybe move him into if he's not already in the top 10 already. I guess move him into the top 10. Maybe a rematch with Overeem. I guess they gotta get some heavyweights. Maybe another fight against Stipe. Who knows? I couldn't see Francis Ngannou even giving like Daniel Cormier trouble or something like that. You know what I mean? I think Daniel Cormier would just smother the shit out of him. But didn't disappoint. One of the cool things that they had mentioned was UFC. I applaud them for this move. They announced that they're building a massive UFC development institute in Shanghai. It's like something like 93,000 square feet. It's massive. And good for them. They're trying to tap into that market of Chinese fighters. Good. Go for it. I think it's a great idea. Influx of some Chinese fighters. Influx of anybody. Really, and it never hurts. And you always add that spice to the fights. When it used to be the coolest, it was style versus style shit. I love that. You know what I mean? The sumo wrestlers versus karate guy or something like that. That shit was cool. That shit was really cool. And I think you naturally get that when you bring in all these Chinese fighters. I'm very interested to see how this turns out. And it's a good move by the UFC. Great move by the UFC. Let's talk some Goldenboy MMA. Liddell versus Tito Ortiz. At least
not what I expected at all. I was shocked. I was on my toes.
Oh shit. Yeah, it wasn't I think we all got what we thought. At least I could watch it. I watched it for free on YouTube at least afterwards. You know what I mean? I think people would probably want their money back. They paid for it. Oh, shit. They actually put on a decent card. good for the Goldenboy promotion guys over there. I think it's gonna be, they're gonna have some kind of fights. Sure, why not? Put on whatever the hell you want. Jay Silva gets back into the win column. He fought. Oh, I think it's Gleison Tebow versus Efren Escudero too. That was actually a pretty good fight. Those dudes went to battle. And recent wrestler Tom Lawler. Tom Lawler's actually switched over to pro wrestling. He fought too against Darren Wynn. Lost unanimous decision. He was trying to go for too much wrestling moves, I guess, or something. Tom Lawler actually wrestled locally here a few times. Still wouldn't go see him. I didn't really like him as an MMA fighter, and I thought it's kind of weak that he's a pro wrestler, but I'm maybe just jealous, I guess, too. I wish I was a pro wrestler. But the main event, Chuck Liddell, man, oof, that was rough. That's all I gotta say, man. It was rough. He just looked terrible, and
Fireworks.
Terrible,
Crazy.
Terrible call out for Chuck to even first of all call out Tito. Tito's a very athletic guy. He's a very fit guy. He had recently fought too, and for Chuck Liddell to call him out of all peoples, I had said it's very easily before the fight. I said that it was very easily winnable for Tito. I was definitely, I should have, if Chuck Liddell was a favorite, I should have put money on it. Last time exactly. Chuck Liddell hasn't fought since 2010. You know what I mean? 8 years off, and you're gonna fight Tito, who's always fit, always tough, and had fought recently. You know what I mean? You're gonna fight Tito 8 years later, and it was just he looked 8 years older than his last fight. He looked 20 years older than his last fight, not looks wise, but movement wise, punches wise. The punches he threw had really nothing behind them. He threw like one overhand right. That even had a little bit of mustard on it, but it wasn't the Chuck Liddell, even a tiny bit of the old Chuck Liddell. It looked terrible, and especially getting knocked out by Tito. Tito's not really known for knocking dudes out, and he got just dummied him. It was crazy is the Rich Franklin fight. I went and saw that one live. That was a great card too. UFC 115. I think it was a last-minute replacement, too. I think it was actually supposed to be somebody else was supposed to fight Chuck Liddell. And Rich Franklin, I think, was a last-minute replacement and knocked him out with a broken arm. I remember it was really cool to see Crow Cop. I think that was what I had got. I actually got free tickets through a very good friend that just had extra tickets, and it was the coolest thing ever. But Crow Cop versus Pat Barry, that was an amazing fight. I could still, it's so cool that I got to see Fedor live, and I got to see Arlovsky live, and to see Crow Cop too. That was one of the super highlights. Like, I could still think about it, man. I would like total chills down my spine hearing, Crow Cop coming out to Wild Boys and fighting and winning against Pat Barry, because there's these douchebags behind me that are like just like saying he's washed up. They're like yelling and shit and just being total dickwads. And just for Crow Cop to win, and I remember just like jumping up and like yelling in these guys' face like, yeah. It was a super cool night just to see it live. Also, it was Rory McDonald versus Carlos Condit, local, Rory McDonald's from BC. That was a really crazy fight, because Rory was winning the whole fight, just ground and pounding him, wrestling him out, and he kind of got tired in the third, and Carlos Condit took him down, started elbowing the shit out of him, and got the TKO win. Ben Rothwell versus Gilbert Iville, that was a good fight too. Yeah, they had actually a really good card. Martin Kapman versus Paulo Thiago. That's a good fight. And such a long time ago, 10 or 8 years ago, long time ago. Even Mike Powell was on the card. I like Mike Powell. Quicksand. He's obviously got to retire soon too, if he hasn't already. David Loazo was on it. Matt Wine versus Mac Danzig. Good card. Got to come back to the Vancouver UFC. I don't know. What's keeping him away? High prices, I guess. Gas prices. I think we should take a quick little breather here. That wraps up MMA for this week, folks. We'll be right back after these short messages. Stay tuned.
Water is in everything except rocks. Water! Good luck bathing without it, idiot! Water, if you haven't already, you should probably give some to your dogs.
Water, it's in everything. Drink up.
Bitches!
If you like fights, then download the UFC Fight Network today. Or stream it, or steal it, or do whatever. We're not the police. Go right ahead.
Dogs. Some people have them as pets.
And welcome back, folks. I hope you enjoyed our sponsors. Let's talk some wrestling. Last show, we did the show before Survivor Series. It was a great Survivor Series. But what I wanted to talk about first was a little bit of a small take I have. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about this week, and it leads into WWE and how popular it is right now and how hard this wheel is churning. And I think it has to do with women's wrestling. Honestly, I think that the women's matches right now are so amazing that their talent wise has gone up through the roof. As I've said before, like women like Dana Brooke just don't belong in the roster right now because she's just not that good. They have tons and tons of talent coming up too from NXT, and that's what all these girls are now. Are all these NXT girls who've been brought up and raised through the WWE, and I think it's working so perfectly. Triple H has done an amazing job with that, and we, the fans, are the ones who are benefiting from seeing this talent we get these days. They're having lights out matches, amazing ones, and the talent they have. I can't say that enough. The amount of wrestlers they have that on the female roster right now is tons. And I think what it's so good right now, that's why we're seeing all these legends come back. Like, to see Trish Stratus and Lita again, you know what I mean? Who knows? They're probably going to wrestle again in some other main event, maybe WrestleMania or Royal Rumble or something like that. I could see them being in the Royal Rumble, obviously. But just to have them back as often as they are, when they didn't need to come back to wrestling, especially Trish. So this is just the gravity and the pull that it has right now, where she wants to compete now because it's so big, it's so popular, everyone's into it. Obviously, WWE threw a lot of money at her, I can guarantee that. They have a lot of money and they like doing that. But it's just like with girls like Becky, I think it's at the forefront right now. She's kind of like the Chuck Liddell of the UFCs in 2005. I think it was like UFC 51. That was when Chuck Liddell was at his prime. You remember, like, you can get like a cell phone, like the Iceman cell phone. Do you remember that, Kelly? It was like, like, you've made it when you're a cell phone, when you have a cell phone, named after you. But that's where Becky Lynch is right now, where she is just with getting beat up and getting bloodied, and the attitude she has, she's really turning around her comeback so quickly on the mic. I'm so impressed. I think her acting, she's in like a new movie, like total B shitty wrestling movie, like the Marine series, Kelly. Yeah, she's in the 6th one.
Can't wait.
I know, it's already out on DVD. It's already out. Straight DVD though, oddly enough. I thought it would be in theaters.
That's
for
crazy.
Sure.
We gotta stop this podcast and watch some
I know.
B movie. C-rated movie.
The whole next show will be just us reviewing the Marine 6.
Yes. Can't wait.
But Becky Lynch is in that movie. That's it. But with Becky Lynch right now, she has just really brought it up so high. How, I don't know. I'm so surprised with Ronda's applause and how hard she is over. What a good move it was for her to move over to WWE, because she is just beloved by the fans. I didn't see it. Usually when a person like this comes over and they're just like, oh, I'm nice, person, don't mess with me person. Like Kurt Angle, when he came over, fans hated him. I thought they were going to hate Ronda as well, but no, I don't know if it's fake or nothing. WWE has been known to do tactics to, just to fool people that she's popular with, like piping in noise or handing out t-shirts. But I don't think they're doing it this time. I think it's genuine, and it's kind of odd. I'm a little bit weirded out by it. But with, Ronda, obviously, and then Alexa, I think my favorite probably is, the girl who brought it up to this point. Becky's just kind of grabbed the torch right now and ran with it because Alexa's injured. But I hope we don't see Alexa going down the road. There's all these rumors that she may have to take some extended time off. Her neck is messed up. and that's not a good sign. So let's hope she heals up quickly, or if she does have to take some time off, she has a good chance to come back. But is she at that point where she says, "No, I don't want to wrestle anymore"? And I think that you got to look at your health, obviously, first of all. But I'm just saying it'd be shitty for her, obviously, as well. I'm sure she'd like to perform as well, but it'd be shitty to the fans who don't get to see her skill in the ring anymore. It would be super sad if that did happen. That's the big rumor swirling around, is that Alexa may be pretty badly injured, and if it's your neck, you can't fuck around with that. But it's just women's wrestling. It's just so good right now. It's so good. You know what I mean? I'm just glad they got rid of finally. The Bellas are gone again, so which is that's good. They weren't holding anybody back. They had their little weird, super quick storyline against Ronda, but maybe just for Evolution, and that was it because we haven't seen them still. Maybe they come back for Royal Rumble. Obviously, they need people for Royal Rumble, and that's just right around the corner. I can't wait. Royal Rumble is definitely my favorite. I love WrestleMania, obviously, but I think Royal Rumble is like my 1A. I love the Royal Rumble the most. I don't know what it is about it. It's just, you know what I mean, the countdown, the surprise guys. You know what I mean, don't know who's gonna win. It's a big deal because you get a title shot at WrestleMania. So I think it has a lot at stake. I've always just loved the Royal Rumble throughout the years. Best video game for the N64. I can't wait for the Royal Rumble. But Survivor Series was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Good heat for Nia. Like I said, Kelly, but Nia was the one that punched Becky Lynch and broke her face. It's like the whole time she's like dusting off her knuckles. You know, like, you know, it was kind of cool.
Terrible.
Exactly. But the heat that she got was huge. I think this move, the knockout, is going to work so good for Becky and so good for Nia right now, because I didn't see heat between Nia and Becky, and now they just organically got this huge heat between each other. WWE's got a huge opportunity here to really roll with that storyline. Obviously, they're on different brands, but maybe somehow they interlink it a little bit down the road. I think that'd be great. Raw beatdown was all over it. I was quite surprised by the entire show, just the Raw dominance. They didn't, you know, it was so shitty for them not to say, like, because they have like the pre-show, Kelly, and then they have the after show, which is like the main event. Like the pre-show is like the you know what I mean? It's like the undercard, right? And SmackDown actually won their match. It was a tag team match, but they didn't even announce it. They're like, "Oh, clean sweep for Raw." Like, "Oh, this undercard doesn't even mean shit." They're like, "Oh, clean sweep for Raw," like the whole time. So it's like such a spit in the face, which I thought was a weird move for them to do. But obviously, Braun Strowman was, if you looked on paper of the Survivor Series team, Braun Strowman was just massive, and he just beat up everybody, which was kind of expected. At least SmackDown did have some good moves. Rey Mysterio was always awesome. It was a good match, actually, for Ronda Rousey, even though it was Charlotte. It was actually, I'll give partial props to Ronda. It was her longest match, and she actually looked okay. She actually looked okay. Went to like a long, grueling match with Charlotte is tough to do, and she did it, and my hat's partially off. You know what I mean? Let's see. She didn't disappoint, and I think that's going to help her out down the road here. It would be a total upset, obviously, in the main event with Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. It was a good match. I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be as long as it is. They really let it go out. It was kind of crazy because Daniel Bryan's got a bad neck, and Brock Lesnar's moves a German suplex, Kelly, and he dropped him right on his fucking head. Like the guy had basically had to retire before because his neck was so bad, and now he got landed right on the back of his head. Bad move, Brock Lesnar, and his German suplexes are probably gonna get banned here eventually. But it was a total beatdown in the end. I was surprised that they gave Daniel Bryan any kind of momentum a little bit in that match. Obviously, Brock Lesnar's going to win. He's too much money tied up in that dude. He's just not going to lose it. He's going to Hulk Hogan everyone and just not lose. Not going to lose. What was funny is Enzo Amore was actually in the crowd, and apparently he tried to start up an Enzo Amore chant. Like, what? Like, this guy got, like, fired by the WWE, Kelly? He got, like, accused of, like, sexually abusing, like, a girl, you know what I mean? Like, a woman, you know what I mean? Of age. And so the WWE obviously fired him. You know, it didn't look good. You know, he was cleared later on, so he hasn't been back since then. He had kind of like a bad. He was like short. He's like so he's not he'd be like in the cruiserweight division, which is like another show. It's like only like the smaller guys go in it. But he was such a good mouthpiece. But then his mouth actually got him in trouble because he had tons of heat by the fans, but he was such a good talker that Vince McMahon was giving him tons and tons of money. But eventually his mouth got him in trouble backstage with other wrestlers. So he fell out of favor with the other wrestlers. He fell out of favor with the writing crew. So then this thing came up, and then they obviously fired him, and he hasn't wrestled since. So he's in the crowd, not like as a guest by the WWE. He bought a ticket, goes to the crowd, and tries to start a chant of his own name. Like, how lame is that? And there's a video of him like getting kicked out. They removed him from the building, and he tried to go to the Raw the next day too, and he was not allowed in. They had been warned, don't let Enzo Amore in. So they had been warned. It's kind of weird that they can do that, but in WWE, they do what they want, I guess. Desperate times for Enzo, I guess. Raw was really good. Announcement at TLC is Corbin match versus Braun Strowman, and if he loses, he won't get the permanent manager's job, the general manager's job. And if Strowman wins, he gets the fight against Brock at the Royal Rumble. So they got a lot of good implications. And obviously, as at the end of the show, that could be up in the air because now, boom, we see another guy down, Braun Strowman. Their other biggest name, especially for Raw, is now gone. So you have Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns out. Braun Strowman is going for surgery as well on his arm. They had a good way to end it, though, to make him look injured, because they had like these three dudes beat him up, and they had his hand like across like the steps, and they smashed it with the other top of the steps, so it looked like he really hurt his hand. So, but he was actually cut on his elbow, so it looked real, like his elbow just got cut from something else. So it was a good ending. He was, so they make it so that he can go get surgery and hopefully be back for Royal Rumble. Or TLC is just right around the corner, so I don't think he's going to be able to make it back for the TLC, so we'll see what happens. One thing I don't like what WWE is doing, they're doing so much good things these days. The one thing I do not like is if they fucking turn Elias good, terrible idea. Keep Elias bad. Like, do not make him good. He's too good of a bad guy to turn good. Turn him good later on, not right now, though. He's too hyped right now. A highlight of the show for me was him ragging on Towns. I fucking eat that shit up. I love that shit. After that, the Strowman gets a huge beatdown. Maybe are we going to see that heel team with Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre, and I guess Dolph Ziggler? Are we going to see this heel team? I think it works. I think obviously maybe Kevin Owens was supposed to be a part of it, or other people were supposed to be a part of it. Now they're injured and they can't be. So we'll see what happens. But WWE, we got to talk about this Rollins and fucking Ambrose rivalry. Damn, it's getting so terrible. It does not work for me. Ambrose is just hiding out in the building in different places, and it's kind of like Randy Orton-esque. And I just don't like it. It's sloppy. It's lazy. It's not ever. They're really dragging out this rivalry between each other. I don't know why. For me, it's going nowhere, and they got to do something about it. It's just terrible. Good Raw, terrible ending. On to SmackDown once again. Iconics save the segment. Coming out, making fun of Charlotte's acting was gold. I fucking ate that up. It was so hilarious. Peyton Royce is so good in ring too. Plays a good actress, and I think these two girls have a bright future in the WWE. And they had a good match. It just goes perfect showing. They're getting top billing against Charlotte, where they both have to wrestle Charlotte. I thought it was a really good moment for all of them when she was like smashing their heads on the desk. It was good for their hype, good for everyone's hype. Of course, the Iconics. Cream rises to the top. Miz and Shane McMahon. This is very weird. I don't know, because you can tell the Miz is acting now. He's such a good actor. You can kind of tell he's acting. Why does he want to be with Shane McMahon? And Miz is so good standalone. It's an odd pairing for Shane McMahon to be with the Miz. Are they giving Shane McMahon a little bit of a tag team run here? Is that maybe a belt he never won? I could have sworn he must have won the tag team belts. Miz has won it multiple times. What was crazy is they had like a list of everyone who'd won the most titles, top 5 wrestlers who won the most titles, and without counting the hardcore title because it had switched hands so many times. I think it switched hands like 28 times. But even the top guy, Edge, a rated R superstar, couldn't believe it. He's won 31 different titles. huge marker for Edge out of all wrestlers. That's a crazy mark. Good on him. Love Edge. Great wrestler. I wonder if he'll ever come back for one more match. We'll find out. Another bad neck. Bad necks in wrestling do not go together. But I don't know. Miz and Shane McMahon, I don't know. I don't see where they're going here. Just Miz begging him to be part of his team, and they lose to jobbers. Like, they come out and lose to jobbers, Kelly. You know what I mean? I've talked about these people before. They're usually like local hired people who just come out to just get obliterated. Like, just destroyed. Like, just get the shit kicked out of them. No offense. And these guys, these jobbers, beat the Miz. So it's kind of a weird move. They had a 1-2-3 kid moment there. With letting him win that. It was so, an odd move. It was funny because Xavier Woods had made a knock on. They had like a Thanksgiving battle, and Xavier Woods made a knock on Red Dead Redemption 2 for being being so huge to download, like on your hard drive. It's pretty funny. Very topical.
Worth it.
No, I can imagine. Everyone. The shitty thing is that I play Fallout 76, but everyone's got Red Dead Redemption. It's such an awesome game. Still love Fallout, man. I fucking really liking it a lot. But I want to play Red Dead. I'm not knocking the game at all. I actually want to play Red Dead a lot too. I'll get it when it's on sale or some shit down the road, because Fallout's gonna be taking up a good amount of time. And then Anthem comes out. I'm sure Red Dead will get cheap, like come May or something, 40% off or something. It was a good match though. The Thanksgiving match was pretty funny. Oh man, I totally forgot about this too. With Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio. I don't know if the ending was supposed to happen the way it did. Rey Mysterio wears a mask, Kelly. I don't know if you know who he is. He's like a luchador. He's short. He wears a mask. But he's like one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But Randy Orton, he's just like a big white American dude, and he was like he was playing. They do that a lot. Like he'll like rip his mask to play a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's gonna tear off his mask. Rey Mysterio has lost his mask before in the past. To Chris Jericho, actually. So he did wrestle without a mask for a long time. Not a long time, like a short period of time. So he rips his mask, and he puts like a chair over around his head, and he's gonna like throw him into like the post, and then the chair will collapse. But it looks like he grabbed the back of his mask, and the mask just popped right up. So like instantly, Rey Mysterio, because he doesn't want it, because he knows if he's gonna run into that post, his mask is gonna come off for sure. So he tries to plop it back on. He runs slowly into the guardrail, tries to plop it back on, sits on his butt, and then Randy Orton just kind of grabs it. So I'm like, fuck, was it supposed to? Because it was falling off. Like, he couldn't get it back on. It was falling off. Yeah. And it just looked weird. So Randy Orton grabs it to kind of try to save the moment, I guess, and I think they had to switch with the storyline. I don't know if it was a botch or if it was supposed to happen. It didn't look like it was supposed to happen. And because the paramedics come down, they cover up Ray's head. He's got the chair around his neck, and the show ends. I thought, was that supposed to happen? I don't know. It looks like it could have been a botch. I was talking to a few other people, and they think it was supposed to happen, but from the angle I was watching and the way it looked, I don't think it was supposed to happen. I think they just rolled with the storyline of Rey Mysterio getting demasked. It's not the end of the world because, like I said, because he had his mask taken off, but for a luchador to actually lose their mask, that would be tough. Rey Mysterio has like probably the loosest fitting one, and I can imagine because he shaves his head and he has like a really loose fitting one with the whole back open, that it would be easy for it to be ripped off. I was shocked by that move. I did not see that coming. Good SmackDown. They had another great SmackDown. They're doing it. I'm not the biggest fan of Randy Orton, but SmackDown's getting it done. I think they're doing a good shuffle. When we'll see a brand shift, I don't know. I think it's going to be probably due come Royal Rumble or something, but I think it's coming up to when Randy Orton needs to move brands, that's for sure. Just to touch base on the Strowman injury, his arm is injured. The Raw shakeup just going to continue here after here. Maybe Finn Balor gets a big push because of this, and we see the Bullet Club versus the Authority. Let's see that. I would love to see that. Hopefully the big news with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, to go into my next point, my next news tidbit here, is that Chris Jericho and Jim Ross are backed by a super rich family, and they're starting up their own wrestling organization, the All Elite Wrestling. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but the rumor is Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are the two dudes who have already said that they are going to come over from the WWE once their contract is up this summer and wrestle for this organization. They obviously haven't been used well at all in the WWE. They're a tough fit, but I think they were good talkers. I think they were good in ring. I think maybe just Carl Anderson's size is what's kind of holding them back, because he is a littler dude. But I like Carl Anderson as a mouthpiece. he's a good talker, and I like Luke Ellis. So I think with them, with Finn Balor or with AJ Styles, it's a good fit for either one of those dudes because AJ needs the mouthpiece, so does Finn Balor, and to have that extra muscle is not going to hurt. But if that is true, I love the Good Brothers. I love them, man. Great tag team. And it'd be a shame for them to leave. I don't think they're going to go back to Japan, even though in Japan they would be mega stars. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. Well, Fallout is awesome. Still playing the shit out of it, man. It's so cool because this week I came up against like a legendary creature. So it is kind of like the MMORPG style. They did have legendary creatures in the last one too, in 4. I think they did have in 3 as well, or New Vegas. But this bear a Yogwai bear I came up against, it was so tough. And I was like, I got all these mines and shit. So I'm like, all these frag mines. So I'm like, I'm just going to lay it down a trap of all these mines and lead this fucking bear into it. And ended up blowing up myself because he ran. I was too close to the mines. And when they all went off, he lived and I died. So, but it's, I'm getting used to I'm really liking the different weapons you get. I hope I can respec on the skill tree because I've made a mess of my character. I've made a total mess of my guy. It would be nice to respec down the road if that is an option. I hope to see it, but they just bombard you with missions. At first I was like, I hope they give me the option later on to be able to decline or accept a mission because I kind of like it. They're just bombarding you with missions. Oh, you're walking through here. Oh, mission just started. Here's some stuff to do. But you get some damn cool gear from the main missions. I got like a submachine gun that has incendiary rounds, like the bullets burn. I'm like, fucking right. And it was such a cool part too because once I got it, all these Scorch guys attacked me. I'd never killed somebody Scorched at once. I'm still early in the game. I am level 15 now, and I got my first piece of power armor. At least I'm not sure how the power armor works. I think I gotta get the suit still, but I have a chest piece, a Raider's chest piece. So I'm really excited to see how it goes moving forward with that game. I'm so hyped about it. I'm probably gonna play some later on today. Just continuing to evolve with me. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm went in with a super open mind. It is a bit different, and I'm liking the differences, and I think they've done a lot of good things too. This total noob idiot attacked me. I was because at the train stations, I've realized at the train stations there's a guy you can sell your shit to, and there's a box where you can have your own boxes. I built a base too, and my base is kind of cool. There's the box where you put your shit in, so it's really, they made that really cool. You don't have to carry all this gear. You have these boxes in certain places, and at your own base you can have a box too. So that gear, there's just junk, or you can store whatever you want in there, but the most important part is to store the junk there. You can still reuse the junk that's in your box at any workbench you go to. So you physically don't need to have it on you, which would be such a bitch to okay, what do I want to build? Okay, I got to make sure I'm near my box. I got to pull out 6 metal, 4 screws, you know what I mean? Some adhesive, and then I can build this gun. You know what I mean? They cut that out because it would be such a nuisance. So now anytime you go to workbench, it just counts as being in your inventory. You can build whatever you want. I thought that was a really nice touch. But anyways, I was at that box, just putting some shit away, and this guy fucking attacks me. I'm like, he's level 6. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? So he attacks me, he starts shooting me, I'm like, okay, I'll definitely kill this guy. I get a bonus, and since he attacked me first, I'm legally allowed to kill him in the game. So I wall up, I pull up my sledgehammer, hammer him once, he runs for it because I take off 3/4 of his health, and then I chase him down, and I miss a few times with the sledgehammer, and I eventually kill him. Got all his gear. Got all his, not his gear, but all his junk. So I instantly grabbed all his junk, put it right in my box. I was right beside the box. But it was a full circle how I got totally killed by those dudes. And they took all my shit. He had a ton of shit too. So it was kind of full circle. I got all my junk back from this guy. But he asked for it. It's a fun game. And I'm still barely scratching the surface of it. I can't wait to get power armor. There's a lot of hate going on about it right now. Before they did have a big update this week, which was a massive update. But I guess these dudes, they had called in 3 nukes at once, and it crashed the whole server they were on. So a lot of people were pissed off about that. But I think they were just, now they know that they'll get past it. That obviously happened, and then they did a massive update, and I think obviously that problem's been fixed. There was a few bugs I had noticed, obviously, but it's not Fallout if it doesn't have bugs. So I went in not disappointed at all about the bugs. One mission I couldn't cash in because the thing I need to cash in was translucent. I could walk through it, and it wouldn't let me do the mission, so that was kind of annoying. But after the update, it was fixed. So I think that we're going to see a lot of updates still, obviously, to come with the amount of people playing the game. Obviously, that's just what's going to happen. But I want to get Red Dead just for the multiplayer. That's the super shittiest thing about Fallout. All the people I know that play on PC. You know what I mean? And all my Xbox friends are playing Red Dead. No knocking on you. I'm just saying it's just I think it would be fun to have a buddy with you because it'd be a lot easier to kill those legendary dudes, obviously. But I'm enjoying it by myself. It was always a single player game to me. I don't like to team up with like strangers. It's stranger danger. But I'm enjoying playing by myself and getting used to the map. It's a little bit different. Like I said, I built my base and the base is kind of cool. I got all my shit set up there. I got a bunch of turrets and I'm just excited to see where it keeps going. And just by fluke, I have like my base. Like I guess it is like you got to do this mission. You got to do different missions and there's like a robot there and that's when they kind of tell you to build your base here. And they conveniently make it right in the middle of the entire map. So it's like my base is right in the middle of the entire map. And you can fast travel back to your base for free. If you want to fast travel to another town, it costs caps, which are tough to find. I've got a ton of caps now, killing all the damn super mutants. But I could go on and on and on. Next week I'll have another update for Fallout, how my progress is coming with the game. I'm loving the game. I can't get enough of it, and it's gonna do me just fine. Like I said, if I can't respec, I'm gonna make a new character. Obviously, a shooter guy. Intelligence is important in the game. I am finding out. You really liking Red Dead? You teaming up with you team up?
No, I haven't played it in a while. Actually, I've been too busy. Is the online on yet?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think he got it. Yeah, I don't know if you think he has a ton of time to play. I think that's the problem. Probably have to edit out his name, I guess.
We replace it with
beep. That's hilarious. It's the FDA on my ass. Well then, folks, that's all I got to talk about today. We'll 100% have Twitter up next week. Holla at you. 99.9%. We're like birth control. 99.9% efficiency. We will have that up. But the 12th show, still rolling along. Thanks everyone for tuning in last week and the week before. We'll have Twitter up and shoot me some shit of what you want to talk about. Good, the bad, the ugly. Yo mama. Well then, that about wraps it up. Well, for the producer extraordinaire Kelly, my name is Steven. This has been the New Podcast, signing off.
This Justin. Chocoladell is old.
Breaking news, Chuck Liddell is ancient.